Chapter 3 The Crumbling Empire Part 2. The city hadn't yet caught its breath from the morning's chaos, but the shockwaves of the raids reverberated far beyond the crime scenes. News channels ran continuous coverage, their anchors delivering updates with a grim determination. Social media buzzed with speculation, conspiracy theories spreading like wildfire. Within the confines of their respective worlds, the wives of the fallen mafia leaders were already grappling with the fallout. Anna's perspective. The polished steel of the fireplace poker gleamed in Anna Petrov's hand as she methodically fed documents into the crackling flames. Each piece of paper, bank statements, ledgers, photographs, represented a lifeline, evidence of her family's empire that could not be allowed to survive. Lucia stood nearby, her face pale, holding a small box of items Anna had designated for destruction. "What if they come back?" Lucia asked, her voice trembling. Anna didn't look up from the fire. "They will," she said flatly, "and when they do, there will be nothing for them to find." Her phone buzzed on the mantel, drawing her attention. She snatched it up, her eyes narrowing as she read the text from Maria. "We need to meet. Tonight." Anna's lips tightened. There was no telling what the others were thinking, but she knew one thing for certain: their survival depended on unity. Dropping the poker with a clang, she turned to Lucia. "Clean this up, I'll be back late." Maria's perspective. Maria's fingers drummed against the edge of the kitchen counter as she stared at the envelope in front of her. It had been slid under her door sometime during the raid, its contents chilling in their simplicity. Inside were copies of emails, her husband's communications with a rival family, details of secret deals she had no knowledge of. Her anger simmered just beneath the surface, but she forced herself to focus. Roberto sat across the room, scrolling through his phone, oblivious to the weight of the moment. She couldn't let him see her crack. "Roberto," she called, "go to your room, I need to make a call." He hesitated but obeyed, leaving her alone with her thoughts. Picking up her phone, she dialed Anna. When the call connected, she didn't waste time on pleasantries. "We need to meet. Tonight. All of us." Anna's voice was calm, almost cold. "I'll arrange it." Maria ended the call and turned back to the envelope, her mind racing. Whatever secrets her husband had kept, they were hers to handle now, and she would handle them, ruthlessly if necessary. Sophia's perspective. Sophia Russo wandered through her studio like a ghost, her mind replaying the morning's events in a relentless loop. The officers had left hours ago, but their presence lingered in the overturned furniture and empty drawers. They hadn't found anything incriminating, not yet, but Sophia knew it was only a matter of time. Her gaze fell on the painting she had abandoned the night before. It was meant to be a landscape, but now the colors felt too vibrant, too alive for the world she inhabited. Without thinking, she picked up a brush and slashed it across the canvas, smearing the paint into chaotic strokes. She worked furiously, her frustration pouring out in every movement, until the vibrant scene was obliterated. The sharp chime of her phone cut through the silence. She hesitated before answering, her hand trembling. "Hello?" "Sophia, it's Anna. We're meeting tonight, my place, 8 o'clock. Sophia's grip tightened on the phone. I'll be there." The line went dead, leaving her alone once more. She set the phone down and stared at the ruined painting, her breath coming in shallow gasps. Whatever tonight's meeting held, she couldn't let herself falter. Laura's perspective. Laura Williams leaned against the counter of a dingy diner, her burner phone clutched tightly in her hand. She had driven halfway across the city after receiving Anna's message, her instincts screaming at her to keep moving. But she couldn't. Not yet. The waitress behind the counter gave her a curious glance but said nothing, refilling Laura's coffee before moving on to the next customer. Laura took a sip, the bitterness grounding her for a moment. She pulled out her notebook, flipping through the coded entries and notes she had compiled over months of undercover work. Phase 1 complete. Prepare for extraction. The message from her handler replayed in her mind, but extraction was the last thing she wanted. She was in too deep, too tied to these women to abandon them now. Her phone buzzed again, this time with Anna's voice on the other end. "Tonight, 8 o'clock. Don't be late." Laura nodded, though Anna couldn't see her. "I'll be there." As the call ended, Laura shoved her notebook back into her bag. Whatever the wives decided tonight, she would be ready to play her part, for better or worse. The gathering. Anna's estate was quiet, the kind of quiet that felt unnatural, as though the house itself was holding its breath. One by one the women arrived, their expressions guarded, their movements cautious. Anna greeted each of them with a nod, leading them to the sitting room where a fire crackled in the hearth. Maria was the first to speak. "We need to figure out who's behind this. The raids, the messages, it's all too coordinated." Sophia folded her arms across her chest. "And what if it's someone close to us? Someone who knows too much?" The room fell silent, the weight of her words settling over them like a heavy fog. Laura shifted in her seat, her eyes scanning the others. "We need to stick together. If we start turning on each other, we're finished." Anna's gaze was sharp as she addressed the group. "Then we need a plan. No more waiting for the next blow to fall. We find out who's pulling the strings, and we take control." The women exchanged glances, a reluctant agreement passing between them. In that moment, their shared resolve solidified. Whatever came next, they would face it together, even as doubt and suspicion simmered beneath the surface. As the fire crackled and shadows danced across the walls, the wives began to lay the foundation of their survival, each silently wondering who among them might already be plotting betrayal.